exposed belly at the bottom and all the maggots and rots you'd expect from Nurgle. So again, we've got some background here into the Death Guard, which is cool, kind of modern and ancient. So you've got some heresy background there and also some modern background. Lords of Contagion, Noxious Blight Bringers. So again, just sort of their mode of fighting and how they spread their disease and what Nurgle is all about. We've also got Malignant Plague Casters. So this is all about their sorcerers. Plague Marines are sort of their troops, their basic guys. You've got Bloat Drones, which are kind of like sentry drones, but really tooled up and made loads tougher because they're Nurgle, so interesting one. Poxwalkers, which are effectively, as I said, that kind of blend between plague zombies and cultists and plague bearers, sort of that kind of mix. So the Tainted Suns, so a little bit about their iconography, the symbols of Nurgle, what they look like when they're painted, a bit of background for them. You've also then got kind of different factions within the Death Guard, which again is a really cool bit of background that you can use to make your Death Guard look a bit different, because obviously a lot of people are going to be collecting these. So like the Primaris, you can do all the different chapters, you can do lots of variants with the Death Guard, which is really cool, just so you can keep everything different. So I'll read one of them. So this is the Pallid Hand, very kind of bone based look. Same sort of rotting appearance, but in kind of like a bone kind of colour. It says, Masters of the Armoured Assault, the Pallid Hand employ a greater number of Chaos Predators and Land Raiders than almost every other Vectorium of the Death Guard. So the Vectoriums are the different sort of chapters, if you like. Those enemies that are not crushed beneath their rusted treads are blasted apart by pinpoint artillery bombardments. So that's pretty cool, bit of background. So they're kind of like the Armoured Assault ones. So you can see their colour scheme there. You can see some of the other ones around there as well. So there's quite a few options there for you, which is good. You know, you don't want you to finish painting that beautiful army and see that 300 people at the tournament you go to have all got the exact same looking army. So you've got Sons of Mortarion, which is again kind of a painting gallery for the Death Guard and what they look like. Then you've got the data sheets, so obviously the rules for them. So you've got their psychic powers. So I'll go through them again in depth at a different time. I will go through their couple of special rules though. They've got Plague Weapon, which is you can reroll any wound rolls of 1 when attacking with a Plague Weapon, which is something a lot of them have. So rerolling 1s on wounds is brilliant. And also Disgustingly Resilient, which is probably the best name for a rule ever. Feel No Pain's cool, but Disgustingly Resilient is even better. Each time a model in this unit loses a wound, roll a dice. On a roll of 5 or 6, the model does not lose that wound. So effectively is Feel No Pain. It sounds like Feel No Pain, but it sounds a bit more 40k. So I like that. Lord of Contagion, so that's the leader. You've got the Malignant Plague Caster, who's the sorcerer. Noxious Blight Bringer, who's kind of more of a hero, lieutenant. Plague Marines, so they're basic troops. Poxwalkers, Voted Bloat Drone even, sorry. And then you've got the appendix, all the rules, points, etc. Let's go through Poxwalkers. I'll go through one sheet like I did with the Primaris. Going to go through Poxwalkers. So they have movement of 4, weapon skill of 5+, ballistic skill of 6+, so they're not very well trained. Strength toughness 3, so they're quite weak. 1 wound, 2 attacks, leadership 4, so anyone makes them take leadership checks and they'll dissolve. And their save is 7+. That's interesting. So their save's 7+, so effectively they don't have a save. I presume it's just there in case you can somehow give them +1 save to get 6+. Unless you've got to roll 6+ and then a 2+ or something like that, but I presume that it's just there in case you can improve it, although please tell me otherwise guys in the comments if that's the case, I'm not sure. So they get Disgusting Resilience, so they have got a save, there you go, so they get the 5 or 6 saves, so that already makes them reasonably tough. Curse of the Walking Pox. Each time an enemy model is slain by a Poxwalker in the fight phase, add 1 model to the Poxwalker's unit. So it's going to be pretty hard to slay people. You're hitting on a 5+, you're strength 3, you've got 1 attack each, 2 attacks each. But, you know, these are a unit to hold people up and waste their firepower. So if you can improve them there. That's really cool, and that kind of speaks to that plague zombie appeal, so that's pretty cool. Mindless. Poxwalkers never have to take morale tests. That's obviously great as well, as I was saying about how important morale is in the new edition. That's pretty cool, especially as their leadership 4. And Diseased Horde, you can add 1 to all hit rolls made for a Poxwalker in the fight phase if the unit contains more than 10 models, which again, it probably will. So actually adding 1 means they're actually starting to hit on 4. So do you know what, they've, all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, they could be useful. You know, they're mostly a roadblock, but they could actually do some damage as well. And how much do they set you back? Points per model 6. So they're pretty cheap. I know some people might think, oh, 6, they're more than a guardsman, but when you think of they get the disgusting resilient, they get men back if they do kill anyone, they never have to take morale checks, and they actually hit on a 4+. Actually, if you think about it, that's actually pretty solid. So that's Death Guard. That's pretty cool little book there. Again, some cool rules. Again, I'll be going through these in a separate video, so please watch out for that, and I'll do an in-depth sort of tactical review of that. So now comes the main rule book. Again, get the cellophane off this bad boy. So again, really happy. As I said, it's full colour. It's in hardback. It's not a soft edition because you bought it in the box. They're really rewarding you for buying the box and saying, you know, you can have the full-blooded edition. So that's really cool. So again, we've got that bit of artwork there. We've got the standard intro with the Laughter of Thirsting Gods at the end. So we've got a really cool piece of artwork here, which I'm sure we might have seen on the teasers of Ultramarines fighting Death Guard. Could well be on Ultramar. It's kind of marble architecture, lions, Space Marines, so it looks kind of like Ultramar. Could well be even Macragge, so it's pretty cool. And also, there's a flying figure here, which a lot of people have said is probably Mortarion. And if you read the background books, which I'll go through in a bit, I think there's a very good chance that might be the case. It's a really cool picture here of a Bloodletter fighting a Black Templar. Very much the appropriate fight. The Zealot versus the Demon. Very cool. Got a Primaris Marine versus Death Guard, so obviously that suits the box set. So you've got the index of everything you have in here. So again, I'm going to do an in-depth review of this in the future. But you've got the background of the Imperium of Man, the hierarchy, who's the lowest of the low and who's the highest of the high. Things about the Church, the age of the Imperium, all the way up to the current day from the Heresy. You've got the Imperial Guard, which is cool, the different regiments. As other people have said on their channels, really would love them to do some of the Guard regiments. Not all of them, I think that would be a ridiculous request, but I'd love them to just keep the Cadians. Cadians are cool, a lot of people like them, but it would just be cool if they went, we're going to do, and even like Tallarans are kind of available at Forge World, so are the Death Corps. Steel Legion, you can kind of make out the Death Corps, but if they could just redo Catachans and do like Valhallans or something like that, that would be so awesome to see lots of Guard. You've got the Dex Mechanicus, Imperial Knights, a bit of background about these guys. Imperial Agents, so Assassins. Quite interesting, Sisters of Battle have been put into Imperial Agents, which is quite interesting. I don't know whether that bodes better or worse for the potential comeback of theirs, but at least they're in here. So you've got a load of cool pictures. The Imperium, got the Chaos Gods, Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh. Again, background for them, background for the Heretic Astartes. Craftwolves, obviously you've got the Drukhari, the Aldari, as the Eldar and Dark Eldar now. And then you've got the Ynnari of obviously the combined Harlequins, Necrons, who've really started to wake up in 8th edition. It seems like they're really going to be a force in the background now, rather than kind of sleeping away and kind of getting involved every so often. Their whole empire pretty much seems to be waking up now. We've got Orcs with all their really cool improvised weapons. Definitely one of the most fun races in 40k. Got the Tau and their spheres of expansion, their expansion of technology as well. One of the really interesting things with the Tau is the way that they're getting more callous and they're using less predictable technology as they grow, kind of like the Imperium did. sort of exactly what the Imperium did. As it got bigger, they used more and more unstable technology, and they became more and more callous at sacrificing civilians and armies and things like that if there was a dire threat. So that's really cool. I like their kind of path almost to, not the dark side, but kind of path to the unknown, or path to what you need to do to survive in this galaxy. This is the galaxy you're in. It's not all happy like they think it is. It's pretty brutal. So you've got a really cool spread of Ultramarines fighting. I think it's Black Legion. Probably in the moments leading up to Gilliman's reawakening. It's got a bit of a campaign on the Fall of Cadia, which is really cool. And you get into the rules, so you've got data sheets, and you've got the core rules, just like in that booklet, movement phase, psychic phase, etc. You've got different type of plays, open play, narrative play, and obviously match play, which is what people are going to play the most. You've got all the different missions, whether they're part of match play or whether they're part of narrative play. One I'm really happy to see back is Meat Grinder, always one of the coolest names for a mission, and I really like the fact that you're deployed 12 inches apart, and it's just a massive ruckus in the middle. Really cool. It suits the name, and it's good to see that back. So you've got historical battles. This is something I have wanted Games Workshop to do for so long, is do historical battles. I think they should do more campaign weekends based around this at Warhammer World, so you have to go with a specific army, well, a specific faction, not what you choose. You can choose whatever you like, but a specific faction. Like this campaign weekend is just for for the Imperium, all the types of Eldar and the Necrons, and that's it, and you've got to go with that and then create this amazing background around it. I really think it'd be awesome. So historical battles, the ambush at Docharak Pass, fought between the Imperial Guard and the Alpha Legion. Ooh. So that's pretty cool. So you can recreate that, or you can make your own. Obviously you're into matched play now. Lots of different deployments now, so I'm sure you guys have seen. You've got the standard old ones, but you've got lots of new ones. So there's 6 of those, it seems now. You've got all the different type of missions. You've got the tactical objectives. Then you've got advanced rules. So advanced rules are things like Stronghold Assault, Death from the Skies, that came along later on. Campaigns, how to run campaigns, which is quite a cool thing to have. Oh, this is a really cool bit of artwork. I haven't seen this yet. So it's the Imperial Fists, and they seem to have overrun a position of the Black Legion, I'm guessing. Looks like a quad gun here. A dead knight in the background. Chaos, definitely. And then you've got Imperial Fists with smoking guns, and Apocryphy, getting the gene seed out of a dead Imperial Fist, and really coolly, a Imperial Fist throwing a Black Legion off the bridge. It looks insanely cool, kind of a This Is Sparta moment, except for maybe This Is Terror, as it's an Imperial Fist. So that's really cool, really high quality. Got all your rules, but it'll last longer, and it's better to have around. So I think that's a really cool rulebook. I'm really happy it's in the box set, like the full. It's not watered down, the full version. So that's really cool. So there's a few other things I picked up over the weekend, which I just wanted to run through again very quickly, just to go through those. So I picked up the tactical objective cards. Really nice little box for them. I've had a quick look through, and some of them have changed, and some of them have remained the same. So you've still got secure objective 1, 2, etc. Now a really cool one you've got, instead of secure, is defend. So I'll try and make it so you can see it there, but if not, I'll read it anyway. So you score 2 victory points if you control objective marker 1 at the end of 2 consecutive turns. What's really cool about that is it makes it feel more like a proper war. You're not just like running over there to nick an objective and then running off somewhere else. You know, that's not how war works, obviously. But also, it kind of just, it to an extent stops kind of jet bike units just zimming around the board, kind of doing what I've just said, nicking objective after objective, which is cool and tactical, and well done for taking those units. It's not a shot at anyone who takes those units. It's just, you know, if you want to make it realistic, that's not really how, you know, war works really, for the most part. So I kind of like that you've got capture objectives for 1 turn, which is great, no problem with that. But also you've got ones where you've got to kind of stick around for a little while and actually, you know, properly capture the objective. You've also got one called Advance, which is this one here, which is score 1 victory point if no unit from your army is within your deployment zone at the end of your turn. So Depends what army you are, whether you like that one. Then you've got a lot of ones we've already got, which is cool. A lot of the good ones. I don't think we've got the destroy the building one anymore, which is really cool because no one could do it anyway. You've got area denial. So area denials are a really cool one as well. So score 1 victory point if there are no enemy models within 6 inches of the centre of the battlefield at the end of your turn. If there are no enemies within 12 inches, you score D3 points. So that's a really cool one. Just to sort of, yeah, just to sort of say, okay, clear out the centre of the board. Don't worry about objectives. Clear out the centre of the board. I think that's a really cool one. So that's tactical objectives. Some really good cards, just like before. So they're fun to play with. Also got some of the cool new dice. I think they look really cool. Roll through that here. Again, like the rulebook, they're not watered down dice. You know, they're not just rubbish. You'd find them in a risk box dice. The risk is awesome as a side point. They're nice engraved dice. Some of them have got symbols when you're playing the game on them of various kinds. Sort of saying whether units are advancing, whether they're shooting, things like that. And then you've got just the cool numbered dice with the skulls, and then whatever number you happen to roll. And yeah, they just sound good. They sound good rolling on the mat, things like that. So I think they're pretty cool and well worth getting. You've then got, now I have got one of the indexes. The reason excuse me, the reason I've only got one is partly I wanted to see what they were like. Partly I'm interested to see how soon the codexes come out as well, and partly because I have a couple, an army from in here. I have the Necrons. I like playing with them quite a bit, so I wanted to see what happened with them, what changed, and so if I do want to play a game with my Necrons, I can do that. So I'm sure you guys might well have seen some index stuff already, potentially. But basically what you get is you get the background. Again, I will be doing an in-depth one on this index as I have it, so I'll be running through that. So you get a bit of background, about 4 or 5 pages of background. You get psychic powers, war gear, and then they go through all the units, one profile at a time, through them all. So it's Eldar, you've got Dark Eldar, their Power from Pain, all that kind of stuff. You've got the Harlequins, which are really cool in the new rules. They've not got any new models, obviously, yet, although all the models are pretty new. But what they have got is a load of cool new rules, and they do work a little differently, and I think they're going to hit harder. So they would be quite cool to collect. You've got obviously the Ynnari, quite controversial at the moment because they're so horrendously brutal. I have had one game against them. It didn't go well, if I'm honest. I mean, I hold my hands up. I'm honest about these kind of things. The other player outplayed me. He was a better player than me. He wasn't lucky. He rolled pretty averagely, really. Just the army was so much better than mine. So, yeah. Interesting to see how they play in the new edition. You never know. We might play some games and find that their rules aren't as good. I doubt it, but you never know. I always like to be positive about these things for the most part. So you've got Necrons, you've got the Powers of the Town, War Gear, and then again all their units. The only unit I suppose I want to highlight in here, just because I'm so happy about it, is the Monolith. So the Monolith now costs many, many points. It was 250. I believe in the Codex it's now 381 or something like that. But it's finally kind of back to what it was. It has... its weapons have got a little bit better, which is cool. It's still got the Eternity Gates. People can come in and through the gate. It's still got the Portal of Exile, things like that. But there's two massive improvements for me. Number one, Death Descending. Now it could obviously deep strike before, but now it can deep strike within 12 inches of someone, but obviously no scatter, no mishap, no anything. It's just, that's where it is. Excuse me. Which is how, for me, 40k should work. The technology is massively advanced. Deep striking should not be a problem for a Monolith. So that's really cool. And obviously with its 4 guns, it means you can drop it right in the middle of the enemy and it can fire out in every direction, which is really cool. But the main thing I like about it is its endurance. This is what the Monolith always used to be. If you go back 2 or 3 editions, when you sort of put a Monolith on the table, you partly thought, oh no, that's going to kill a lot of stuff, but you mainly just thought, oh my goodness, that's going to take a lot to kill. That is going to be a pain in the ass to kill. Obviously, that wasn't really true in the most recent editions. You just dropped some melters near it and killed it, or some lance weapons. What I really like about it now is it has 20 wounds, a 3+ save. That has living metal. And living metal is you get 1 wound back every turn. So every turn it will get a wound back. So assuming it survives the whole game, it's effectively actually got 26 wounds with a 3+ save. I think that's amazing. It's incredibly resilient, just as it always should have been. And that's really cool. So you've got all the war gear and point values here in the back as well. So that's Index Xenos 1. I'll be doing a proper in-depth review of that as well. And we'll be going all through that at a later date. Last couple of things I got were a couple of novels. So we've got 2 here, just to run through. So the main reason I love Warhammer 40,000, I collect it, I've always stayed with it, is the background. The background's really, really awesome. I love the way the stories intertwine, how deep and rich the background is, and how many awesome characters there are. So I got Crimson King, latest Horus Heresy book. It's about the Thousand Sons trying to post-Prospero regroup, get Magnus back on side, because he's just sort of wandering. It kind of explains the background. It's just sort of wandering, despairing at the lack of knowledge and everything that's broken. So his sons are trying to bring him back from the abyss a little bit, but a kind of a mental abyss, not a physical one. So that should be really cool. And you've got Dark Imperium. Now I've already finished Dark Imperium. I will be doing reviews on some of these books. I have to say Dark Imperium is awesome. If you like the novels, or even if you're a bit skeptical of novels, you know, you've maybe read a couple, you didn't know what you thought, I can highly recommend this. It follows Guilliman from basically, more or less, the moment he sets out from Terra, briefly, but mainly concentrates on the end of the Indomitus Crusade and his return to Macragge. But there's so many more characters in it. There's some really interesting moments. Too many to mention, obviously I don't want to spoil anything. It's really, really awesome. And it starts, just to whet the appetite, it starts with him dueling Fulgrim. Or starts near that point and ends at that point. So you also get some heresy action. So that's really cool as well. Highly recommend that book, but I will do probably a review of it at some point in the future. So the final thing I kind of wanted to do was just talk a little bit about what I want to do with this channel in the future, and a little bit about what armies I already have and what my plans are. So over the next year I want to do a Tale of One Gamer, effectively. So the Tale of Many Gamers is something that used to be in White Dwarf and has come back recently, where a group of people collect armies over a time period and sort of have to build and paint a certain amount per month, so that at the end of their time period they have an army and they all play games. It's just a way to like collect an army slowly and enjoy it and enjoy the process. I wanted to kind of do that for myself, but to keep it a bit more interesting, I'm going to do 2 armies myself and collect them slowly over a year. And obviously I'll do much more regular updates, but do a main update at the end of each month with my built painted based models. Preferably start doing some battle reports as well. Obviously once the army's big enough. Excuse me. And sort of move on from there, really. I'll be trying